Hey, my name is Joe.
And I'm Mary Beth.
And this is the best of Gen X.
We are in our 40s.
And we're siblings.
We'll talk about adulting in a world so different from the one we grew up in.
So excuse us while we save a generation.
One episode at a time.
Let's go.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mary Beth.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty excited about a show I just started watching. Excited and disappointed in myself.
Okay.
I promised myself for years that I would never let HBO betray me.
Oh, you did it.
Devastate me so
I
much.
already know where this is going. You did it again.
But somehow I got talked into by my husband starting House of the Dragon.
Oh, so it's
Now,
not a Game of Thrones rewatch. It's a House of Dragons.
Right. And I refused up until this point to, I mean, they're 2 seasons in, so we're talking a couple years, and I've refused. Like, he's mentioned it here and there along the way, and I've just refused to watch it. And I keep saying, I'm not going back to my abusive ex-boyfriend. They broke my heart. They don't deserve my view.
Oh, I've gotten wind of this refusal. Trust me, I know all about it. I
You
know what your stance is on this.
You know I have a lot to say about Game of Thrones.
A little bit.
About how it ended.
A wee bit.
And we will speak on it
Okay.
at some point in the future.
Okay.
But anyway.
Bet.
But anyway, yesterday I gave in and I let them in again, Joe. I let them in again.
Do you feel like emotionally and mentally like prepared for it?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think I've found a lot of peace in my life since that breakup. And so I was a lot stronger and mentally able to revisit that universe. And everything came flooding back. I have to say, though, it made me realize that since Game of Thrones ended, I don't know that there's been a show, not just that we have watched, I'm talking about a show that's been created since then that gives you the same kind of emotional, visceral experience that you did when you watched Game of Thrones. House of Dragon delivers all the same, drama and shock and beauty and all of those things. And so it wasn't until I watched, the first several episodes together with Josh last night that I realized how much I missed that experience, that part of that experience. And so, I don't know, it just reminds me how perfect Game of Thrones was until it was ruined.
And you just started this.
We just started last night. So we watched, it was one of those things where I'll watch the first episode. And then when that ends, I look at Josh and say, one more. And then, so we got about 5 episodes in.
Are they 30 minutes, 45 minutes-ish?
No, I think they're about the same. I think they're about the same as Game of Thrones. So that you're looking anywhere between 50 minutes to an hour or more.
Okay.
So similar, and I didn't even check to see how many episodes are in each season, but I would imagine it's about the same.
So similar investment.
Similar investment. Well, my heart is a bit guarded. I mean, I'm not stupid, right?
I know how passionate you are about this.
Thank you.
This is a very touchy topic.
It is very touchy.
But I'm glad you made your peace with it.
I have, and so I'm giving them a second chance, and we'll see how it works out this time.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
'Cause that's step one, making your peace with it. I feel good about what you're doing.
Good.
Yeah, so for me, as you know, I've been watching A Different World, kind of going back to the old school Cosby Different World type shows. I'm on season 6, so they just got done with the wedding.
So where are you streaming this?
HBO.
HBO. Oh, okay. God, I had no idea it was on HBO Max.
It is on HBO Max.
Yeah, it comes on every morning on O&E, and I don't know if it's O&E or One. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I watched that and then Cosby Show. So go ahead. I'm glad you're watching.
Well, didn't know. So Dwayne Wayne just interfered with the wedding.
Great moment.
And then I went ahead and watched season 6, episode 1, where they went to LA for the honeymoon and the whole Rodney King thing. And I was getting to where my eyes were heavy. So once that one was over, I clicked off. So I'm going to be on episode 2. So I've been doing that.
How many seasons are there?
There's 6. I think that's
6.
I think that's the last season. So it takes me a little bit longer than it took you because I don't watch it like during the day. I'll try to catch them at night, 2 or 3, and then I'll just kind of get eyes will get heavy. Same story. And I'll get tired and I'll give up. And then sometimes I'll let the TV go on accident, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and it'll be like the next season.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, where did I leave off?
Yeah, crap. So then I always said, like, go back. So I've been doing that, and then...
I have a question. Because, like I said, I catch at least one episode in the morning before Cosby. And I have to say, I mean, I loved that show growing up. Loved it. As an adult, I am so painfully aware of how incredibly preachy it is. It is activism in every episode that's thrown in there. And then as it progresses, it just gets worse.
Yeah, well, you know when that turned. Are you aware? So
not really.
It was either...
I want to say when Jada Pinkett joined the cast.
I think even
no surprise there.
Yeah, a little bit before that. I don't remember if it was the beginning of season 3, but anyway, it was when Debbie Allen became involved in the show.
Oh,
so Debbie Allen is director or producer. She's involved,
choreographer. She's a lot
involved in the show, and then she ends up being the shrink at one point. But I even read this online. It's once Debbie Allen got involved, it kind of had more of like an HBC. They really focused on making it more of like an HBCU college. They really like highlighted that with the fraternity, the sorority sort of traditions, and
lots of social issues.
Lots of social issues. They started talking about AIDS and
there was a lot of
racial injustice,
of social justice, and that.
So you're right. So that's kind of when it flipped, was when Debbie Allen got more involved.
But still, hey, great show.
Great show. I'm enjoying it. It's always cool to watch it as an adult. Watch something as an adult. You just see it differently. So I've been doing that, and then work's been okay. I'm about ready to go on a trip today after this, in fact.
All your bags are packed. You're ready to go.
They're actually in my truck. So they're waiting on me to be done with the podcast. But then basketball. So I coach basketball, and July is sort of like a dead period. So I haven't really been doing that as much. But once August, like the first week or so of August hits, we start doing open gyms because summer break is almost over, right?
Yeah, hey, one of the school districts in our area started this past Monday or something.
Really?
Monday or Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, so even though I don't teach at the school and I'm not like mentally preparing myself for going back to teach, I coach. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, school's almost started. So yeah, so summer break is almost over. And Mary Beth, in the 80s and 90s, summer break in the United States was usually around 2 or 3 months long, with students finishing the school year in late May or early June and starting the new school year in early to mid-August. No matter when you got done with school or when you went back to school, summer breaks literally felt like they lasted 6 months.
Yeah.
You'd never experienced such rapturous joy when that final school bell would ring to kick off the summer.
Oh.
It was a time for the kids to relax and have fun with friends and family. Kids could spend time at the pool. They could go on bike rides.
Testify.
Or they could have sleepovers. Families would also go on vacations, which provided memories, at least for us, that lasted and lasted and lasted until this very day. Saturday morning cartoons were like an endless animated buffet to consume until our eyeballs detached from their sockets. My friends and I know, would play Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo in our basement until we nearly gave ourselves seizures. We literally had no worries because there was no school to prepare for the next day. A Tuesday might as well have been a Saturday.
Right.
Most parents still had to work during the summer. So in true Gen X fashion, summers were also our time to find new and creative ways to entertain ourselves. We'd play sports on the streets. We'd ride our bikes to a friend's house unannounced. We'd be gone from 9 a.m. until it was almost dark. It's almost as if parents told us, "You're on your own, kids. Go make some fun."
Yes.
And you know what, Mary Beth?
What?
We did.
We did.
We damn well did.
Well done.
Thank you.
You captured all of it. We're going to be talking about summer break and the back to school season, the back to school vibe. It's here quite early for kids in our area now because they've got a balanced calendar and have for some years. And so that's what we'll be covering. And we'll also, in the next segment, we're going to be talking about a movie that has very back to school vibes.
Possibly, yes. Excellent. Can't wait.
Yeah. It's Grease 2. We'll be talking about it. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely don't want to miss.
If you haven't seen it, what's your problem?
I question all of your
what's your
choices.
Issue? It's funny. We were talking about summer break. Dad recently told me, and I think it rings true. He said there's 3 points in the year that are like a kid's heaven.
Right.
He's like, it's Halloween, it's Christmas morning, And it's summer break.
It is.
I said that is so true.
It is.
As the
It is
kids
so
say,
true.
facts.
Bet. Or
Bet.
I don't know if I'm using that correctly. But before we get started, I do want to mention real quick, we have a new feature on our website. As you know, it's thebestofgenx.buzzsprout.com. When you click on one of our episodes, above the show notes, there's going to be a link to send us a text message. Your privacy or your anonymity is protected with this feature. We only know who you are based on the last 4 digits of your phone number. And you can leave a comment, question, and also for privacy reasons, we won't have the ability to text back. But it's a great opportunity for you to reach out to us quickly and easily, and for us to answer your question or respond to some of your comments on the air. So send us a text. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's a great plug, because as our next milestone of downloads is coming, we have more and more people listening, so we want to engage more and
Absolutely.
get people to connect more with us. So
Right. So I'm excited about that.
Good. Awesome.
I'm going to call this first segment, Joe, I don't know what you did last summer.
I love it.
And the reason I say that is because our summer breaks, like you said, were much longer than they are now. We were not on a balanced calendar. And for those who don't know, a balanced calendar is basically where you start at the end of July. You want your summers to be shorter, so theoretically the kids don't forget everything they learned the year before. And so you start in like late July, and then you'll have a 2-week fall break. You'll have a longer break for Thanksgiving. You'll have a longer break for Christmas.
Spring break, I think, is
Spring
even
break.
2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, basically the biggest difference is that you have a 2-week fall break instead of a
Like the Thursday, Friday
Sure.
fall break we used to have.
so 2 weeks there, 2 weeks in the spring, and then you get out at the normal time, which is like beginning of June, somewhere around there. So you only really have part of June and part of July. That's nothing like we grew up.
Nothing.
So since our summers were longer, we unless you just sat in your room all day talking on the phone, I mean, you really were off the grid. There was no grid to be on except
Yeah.
the phone.
Is it the proverbial grid or the metaphorical grid?
Yeah.
Grid?
But yeah, we didn't connect with all of our friends necessarily from school. Just maybe if they were in your neighborhood or, something like that. Or if you played a sport, maybe in the summer, you could hang out with friends. But a lot of times you didn't know what everybody got into and didn't get to hear about their summer adventures until you started school, right?
Correct. And it's not like you use your landline all day.
Yeah.
Like with a cell phone that's connected to your hip.
Yeah,
So
constant.
you're looking at it or on it all day, and you can even text, where it was like a process to go into your house, go find the landline. You had to sit there because the cord only went so far. So it's just a process.
Get out the phone book because you looked up
get
their
out
number.
Get out the phone book if you didn't have it memorized. So it was just more of a hassle to sit there and communicate on the phone every day. So you just kind of had to go find fun, find your friends.
But it was all we knew, so it wasn't like we were missing out on anything. It was our chance to sort of learn that periodic separations from people we really dug. And
and I've thought about this too. I realized growing up, and I didn't realize it until recently, that I had the neighborhood friends that I would ride bikes with, and they were close. The proximity, they were close. But we would hang out in the summer, play whatever sports we were doing, or just goof around. But then at school, it's almost like I had a different set of friends, the ones that I didn't live close to, that I actually played on sports teams with or whatever. So it was weird for me because I had my neighborhood friends who maybe didn't play on the school sports teams, but then I had like my sports teams friends that I was close to. So I'd always hang around one set of kids in the summer because they were close. And then I go to school and hang out with another. So it was weird. I felt weird about that sometimes because like we just spent the whole summer together, but we didn't talk twice the whole school year.
Exactly.
It was really weird.
When I think back of how we spent our summers, it like you said in your intro, they felt like they just went on forever, which was awesome. But what comes to mind right away is how much time we spent at our cousin's house because they had an in-ground pool, and we were just over there constantly. And had
Our
so much
mom's
fun.
brother had a really nice pool with a pool house, and it was kind of gated or fenced. It had a really nice privacy fence. So I don't know. It was like as soon as you entered that fence, man, that gate, you just kind of like
I know.
you were just in your own lovely world.
Wonderland.
Where you felt like we were, I felt like we were there for 10 hours.
I know.
We were probably only there for like 2 hours.
Yeah. But it felt like we'd spend the whole day there.
But we'd have the big jam box on the table, and we'd play it loud enough where we could all sing and dance and goof around, and we'd play Marco Polo.
And of course, we'd take a break from swimming long enough to go into the garage and rehearse for Star Search, as we pointed out in other podcasts.
Obviously, we had to do that. I had to bang on the bucket and the tennis racket as a guitar. But
it was our destiny at some point.
That's right. Guys, got to practice. We always said that one time. Got to practice. But then also, too, we'd swim for an hour or so, and then we would just be like, you could eat everybody out of that house. So we'd have to have chips and cookies and sandwiches.
Soft drinks.
Oh, my Lord. So, yeah, fun times. It was always a treat when we'd be outside at our house playing, and Dad would kind of poke his head out the front door and say, "Hey, we're going swimming."
I know,
and we knew what that meant.
I know.
We knew where we were going.
We rarely went to the local pool.
Right.
But when we were at the local pool, it was because we were on the swim team. We did that for a few years.
The West Clark Sea Cats.
We were so awesome.
I still have my 1987 Most Improved Swimmer trophy.
I believe I have my ribbons. Oh, no. All my trophies and ribbons, as I was
You have all your 5th place ribbons?
Excuse me, 1st and 2nd place. Thank you. I was an excellent swimmer. In fact, when I decided not to when I decided not to swim one summer, I was ready to give it up because you had to get up really early and the water's super cold.
Oh, my Lord.
The coach actually called me at home. And I was young. I was 5th or 6th grade. And I had to stand my ground.
They were like, "Get here, we need you."
Of course, my parents weren't going to make that phone call for me. They weren't going to accept that call.
This team is nothing without you. Yeah.
But other than that, we have a local pool where a lot of kids could go and have a good time. But we spent time at the local pool swimming for the Sea Cats.
It was just for the team.
And so I remember that. And I remember how Aunt Sharon would make us little blocks of Jell-O.
And the little Coleman cooler.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Dad wasn't much of a public pool guy.
Right.
Dad was more of, let's just, our family, just hang out, whatever.
Right. We preferred going to Mandy and Stevens.
Yeah, but you're right. So Mandy and I were the same grade in school, and we were 6 or 7 years old, and it was so cold, you're right, in the summer that early, I'll never forget this. One morning we get there and we got dropped off, must have been by her mom, and we literally balled up together and put beach towels over. And we were like, they won't know that we're not here. And we literally hit ourselves during practice for 20 or 30 minutes.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, that I just have, since birth, this intrinsic curiosity about life, right? Mm-hmm. I'm interested in everything. And my nickname at the awards ceremony one year was, "But why?" I guess because I asked why a lot.
Ooh,
why is important.
One of those? Yuck. Ooh.
I know. Rationalize this for me, please.
Right. But one more quick thing and then we can move on. But one thing and I don't know if you realize this or you thought this the same way, but every time Dad would say, "We're going to swim at Mandy and Stevens' house," they lived, if you think about it now, that house that we lived in when we used to go there, they probably lived 3 or 4 miles away.
At most.
At most. It felt like it took forever.
An eternity.
Forever. Isn't that funny as a kid? You feel like little short trips are
It was like a drive to Florida.
Yeah, I was like, we might as well have been going to Louisville. It was crazy how far it felt.
But good times there, man.
I love it.
So much of our time spent there. And then I think one summer I played softball, which I must have played one spring and then followed up that summer with the All-Star. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Because I was okay. I was a good hitter, but.
Oh, I remember you playing.
So I remember that. And I have 2 distinct memories. Do you remember playing? You played a lot.
Oh, yeah. I was big into baseball. Into baseball.
You were a superstar.
I was good. I was the 4th hitter. And I was the best catcher.
What does that mean?
The cleanup hitter, they call it. It's just like, how you have a lineup. You have 1 through 9. You have 9 hitters or whatever. I was always the cleanup hitter. So you'd allow the first few people to get on base.
To get their touchdowns?
To get their touchdowns. Miss Sports Ball woman. And I would clean it up and get everybody in. Yeah,
okay. So you were in it for the Grand Slam.
Yeah, I hit home runs in Little League and all that jazz. And I'd always get attention from opposing coaches about me being a catcher.
I remember your first home run. Mount Tabor, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. I was 10.
10 years old, first home run. That was a big deal.
It was. And Dad couldn't make it because he was on an insurance trip at the time. And Uncle Freddie, Mandy and Steven's dad, took me. And I remember after I hit it, because Steven was on my team, I get around home plate, I go to the dugout, and of course I'm just like juiced up. Right. I mean, I could have lifted a car at 10 years old. I was the adrenaline was outstanding. And I see Uncle Freddie sprinting behind the fence to go find my ball, because right behind the fences they had like this little tree wooded kind of area, and he had to go find it because it was kind of elevated, so the ball would roll down the hill.
Sure.
So anyway, he went and found it, and then he like stepped it off, and he put on, he wrote on a pin on the ball like how far it was, whatever.
I remember that.
Good
times.
Yeah. So
Uncle Freddie.
So he took me home because Mom and Dad weren't home yet, and he was like, here. I remember we were in his kitchen. He had the big cord phone on the wall. He goes, here, JoJo. He's like, call your dad. And I will never forget that.
I remember it was such a big deal.
I remember sitting on the chair calling Dad. I was like, Dad, guess what I did? He's like, I remember down the other side. He goes, what? And I go, I hit a home run.
And then he was like, oh, son.
Well, no, he's like, damn it, I couldn't be there. Oh. Hey, but I hit more.
Yeah, you did. I got the game ball once. I think it was out of pity.
You were a good hitter, I remember.
I was a good hitter.
Because you played when I was like 9, when I was around 9 or 10.
I think it was maybe 5th grade, maybe 6th grade.
Possibly, yeah. Because you played at the old minor league field. It's not there anymore. But anyway, yeah, it was you were probably 5th or 6th grade.
I was a good hitter, but I didn't really, I wasn't clumsy. I mean,
You had the eye-hand coordination, and
right.
you had the power.
Okay.
Like you could hit hard.
Thank you. You're right.
Now, defensively, you were a liability. Hey, but they liked when you got up there to hit.
Hey, when I played basketball in 5th grade, I do remember the crowd just cheering. I was like the only one dribbling toward the goal. And I was like, I'm unstoppable. Like, I have so much space around me, and the crowd's going nuts. And I realized it's because I'm dribbling toward the opponent's basket.
That's right. They knew they didn't have to worry about you.
Right. But when it comes to softball, I wasn't too bad. But I do have 2 memories that just, you have those memories where you did something or said something just awful or embarrassing, and you just still to this day cringe. I mean, I'm almost 46 and I still cringe when I think about this. So the first memory that pops up, get it? Pops up.
Yes, I got it.
So I guess it had rained the day before because it was a sunny day, but it made the dirt just damp enough still.
Well,
Now,
I gotcha.
Idiot that I was, running to home plate, I thought a slide was necessary. Don't know why. It probably wasn't necessary at all, but I was gonna slide. And I went to slide, and my cleats stuck squarely in the dirt, the wet dirt, and my butt followed. And there was almost a magnet between my heels and my hips, and I just sort of squatted about 2 feet from the plate. So I had to crawl those last inches to touch home plate. I was so freaking embarrassed.
And all the parents were like, "Aw."
No, I hear the stands laughing. Parents are different back then. They were like, ha, ha, ha. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, get up, loser.
Right, I'm such an idiot. So that's so embarrassing. But another one was, and this is a real testament to the difference in sports parents now. I remember playing third or shortstop or something. There was a ground ball. It was coming right my way. I got into position, and I guess my coordination was off. It didn't go into my glove as it should have. It went next to my glove, hitting my foot, which popped it up to my shin. Now, I didn't catch it, obviously, and I fumbled, but I was so embarrassed by the fumble that I grabbed my shin and put a look of agony on my face and collapsed. And was just like, like the Peter Griffin. And I could hear from the stands my loving, supportive father amidst the crowds. Ooh, she hurt. Ooh. And I hear my father above all the mumbling go, pride injury.
Oh.
I was like, damn it, Dad, you blew my cover.
Now I have a dad story. Okay. So
I shall never forgive him.
So my 11, so I'll get there, but my 11-year-old season, I hit a home run against a team, Clarksville. They were really good. Our cousin Michael from, Bowling Green.
Yes.
Came to visit us for a while. So he got to go to my game. That morning I swam. That was a no-no. You were not supposed to swim before game.
Right. Something
game.
About energy.
Right. Something.
Sun
you felt
drains
tighter
you,
and all this and that. And I swam. I didn't tell anybody I swam. He knew I did. And Michael's sitting behind the backstop, and I hit a 3-2 pitch over left field. They hit a home run. Dad was there, so it was the first one he got to see. So I remember rounding first, and he was like, "Good job!" Like that was the first time he had ever been there when I did it. So I remember that one vividly. But the injury one. So the next season, I slide into home plate, and I break a bone, like the front bone, like right above my ankle, because my baseball cleat like hit the edge of the plate and it like stuck. It was really weird. It was kind of a freak thing. But I batted around, got to home, broke my bone. Didn't know it was broken yet. So I can feel it, and I don't cry. I never cried, ever. Okay, let's get that straight.
That was a no-no for Gen X kids.
Yeah. You just didn't. Nobody got to see you cry.
If you had to cry, you had to go hide somewhere.
Right. But I didn't cry. So I got up, and I'm like limping to the dugout, and I don't look towards the stands because you also, as a Gen X kid, you didn't look at your parents when you played.
Right.
You just fucking played, right?
Yes.
You just played. So I'm walking to the dugout, and I can hear Dad on the side. I can hear Dad go, walk it off. I'm like, what are you doing? Quit limping. I was like, thanks, Dad. Thanks,
Man
Dad.
up, man.
Yeah, and it ended up being broke.
Yeah, and it was a terrible injury, and you were it pretty much.
I was on crutches for like 7 months.
You were on crutches for a long. It took forever for that to heal.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was, but it was.
And I think that ended your baseball career.
Yeah, I think it was like 13, 14, something crazy like that. But
if only the world had got to see us continue on that path.
I know, right? But those were fun times.
Fun times. Like summer just was always a banger.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to school season, it seemed like the back to school season now starts weeks in advance because you have a supply list and everything. I remember being excited just about a week before school.
Oh, yeah.
Finding out who your teacher was, and your mom would tell you.
Yeah, you didn't.
We didn't really go to registration.
There was no online. Like, you couldn't go online to find out.
And, like, kids, I don't remember going to registration. Parents showed up. They did. They signed whatever. They got your teacher. And so we'd find out. And then our grandma was a teacher at the elementary we went to, so we would actually get the inside scoop early. So we used to find out a little bit earlier, but not much, who our teacher was. And then I remember being excited about shopping for school supplies, getting to pick out, the folder you wanted.
Oh, yeah. It was all fresh.
Hey, Lisa Frank was king.
Was that the Trapper Keeper?
Well, I should say queen.
Was it the folder or the Trapper Keeper?
Lisa Frank was a whole
I remember the name.
Assortment of supplies that were all like very bold, hot pinks, purples, yellows, unicorns.
You talking about like folders and stuff?
Folders, pencils. I mean, it was all Lisa Frank all day.
Like the hypercolor, like with the surfer, stuff like that?
No. Like cartoonish, like graphics on folders, like like unicorn jumping over a rainbow.
Okay.
Very colorful kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't have those.
Yeah, no, we would have been concerned. But yeah, so can you remember? I kind of remember what we needed for school supplies back then.
Yeah.
Pencil box.
I usually ate lunch at school, but one year I got so jazzed up about this lunch box. And then crowns.
We were not lunchbox people,
We were not lunchbox people, but one year in particular, I was really wanting one.
Just
because a lot of my good friends had one.
Well, because you could, it could be a personalized experience. It was like part of your identity.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a Star Wars lunchbox. Fools.
Exactly.
All you fools.
Like, here's what I'm about.
Right. I'm about ET.
Yeah. Like one, like one kid had
Holly
like a
Hobby. That's me, babe.
Yeah, like Justin had like a race car one. And I think I got like a He-Man one, but you had the thermos, and that was also cool.
That was so cool.
So I only did that for like one or 2 years, but yeah, I remember the crowns, the fresh crown box. Like, there's nothing like the first you open up that crown box and you're just like, love.
And they're all so pristine.
You don't want to use them.
You don't want to use them because they're too perfect.
Right. It's like a collectible almost.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
But our supply, it was just very basic. Like, we had the pencil box. You probably got a folder, maybe a Trapper Keeper. We didn't really do the backpack until like middle school or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't have one until middle school at least.
Mallory needed one in kindergarten. Why? Because she needed so many supplies. But yeah, like number 2 pencils. You had to get the big eraser.
The big eraser.
Because you were doing
glue.
a lot of erasing.
You had to get glue.
The safety scissors.
Now, did we get the liquidy glue, or did we get the stick?
Honey, we were all about the liquid.
I feel like one year I got the stick.
Well, that didn't come out. Advanced technology didn't merge.
Yeah.
It didn't emerge until.
I don't think the sticks worked as well. I don't think they were as effective.
No, but
like the pasty sticks.
But our generation was about the glue that you could like dry up and roll up and then fling on people
purpose.
on purpose.
You do it put on your hand on purpose.
So you'd have a little bottle of Elmer's glue. You'd have your safety scissors that didn't cut anything.
Right.
And then you had a ruler.
Right.
Some number 2s and an eraser, and that's about
it. That's about it. Maybe
that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I had one homie in my class that used to eat the glue. And we would all be looking at him like, why, man? Like,
that
why?
was kind of a thing.
I know, but it's like, why? There's better tasting stuff in your lunchbox. We're about ready to eat here in like an hour.
Yeah,
Can you
but once the sticks became popular, eating glue sort of became a thing of the past.
Right. But there wasn't like no snack time.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like your ass waited for lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
You eat when we eat.
You got hungry. I mean, the only snack I remember getting is like during I-Step when you had a piece of paper towel on your desk, and the teacher would come around and give you peanuts.
Right, but like
peanuts.
Yeah, but it's like special occasion stuff.
But
like today,
peanut allergies, like that you can't do that. Or like popcorn on movie day.
Right.
But yeah, school supplies are just, it is insane. There's a video. Have you heard of the Holderness family? I think it's the Holderness. I hope I'm getting their name right. But it's like the Holderness family.
I'm not gonna know any different. So
they got a popular TikTok, YouTube channel. Like they're funny. They're our age, and they've got this then and now school supply, and it's so on point. Like the list now, you don't just buy school supplies for your child. You buy school supplies for children all across the world. And you've got this list that you have to download. You got to go on the website, download the list, and then you're at the store with your big cart and your kids trying to, I want this. And you're like, let me focus, because you're checking off the list because you've got to buy like so many boxes of Kleenex. You're basically buying...
You're buying it for the whole class,
Yeah, you're buying supplies for the whole class for the whole year.
That's
and
lame.
Also, I think, and this is the sad part, not that I care about children, obviously. I shouldn't even have to say that, but the fact that some of those, I'm sure, were going to students whose parents didn't provide them with anything.
Right.
That's a very sad thing that parents can't, or like I bet you got an iPhone.
Oh, 100%.
But your kid doesn't
100%.
have a backpack.
100%.
Like, that stuff kind of grinds my gears. But yeah, it's such a different experience. And I'm sure your ex-wife did most of that shopping, like, because you've got kind of a blank stare. Like, yes. You don't relate.
No, I vaguely remember like the big list. Like it was like overwhelming. It was like 2 pages long.
Yeah. Moms during back to school season now, I sympathize. I really do.
No, I have to admit I wasn't like real involved in that process, but it's good that I wasn't.
Right. You
know what I mean?
Because
they would get exactly what you mentioned. They would get like 2 pencils and they would get like an eraser and that's it.
Oh, and a really
folder
expensive calculator and a folder for every class. Oh, and they had to be a certain color folder. So if they didn't have the orange, you had to drive around town to find an orange stamp folder.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, it got pretty crazy.
That's lame.
I noticed now too that like when we were growing up, I remember that first day of school was a big deal.
A huge deal.
And we were excited. We were always excited.
Deal. It was an event. It was social. It was a big social event.
I think whether you were a good student or not, or liked school or not, the first day was pretty exciting. Like we'd had enough of a break that we were, pretty ready.
You had the pool tan.
Yeah.
You had a fresh haircut.
Yeah.
You had fresh clothes. You could not wait to wear that first day of school
Everybody
outfit.
picked out a first day outfit.
You had that stuff sitting out the day before.
Yes.
You were ready.
Yeah. And
it was like, I want people to see my new outfit when I get to school.
You had to have a new first day of school outfit.
Yeah.
And if you were wealthy, maybe you had an outfit for every day of the week of the first week. But most of us just had the first.
I wasn't wearing a Bart Simpson T-shirt or a Rude Dog tank top first day of school. I was looking on point.
You were styling and profiling.
Now after that, by Wednesday.
Hey, speak for yourself, because I have to say, at least for the girls, effort into your appearance was important.
I know it was, because I remember I had 2 sisters.
Even the guys, kids just looked better and took care of themselves.
Yeah, we wore like polos and
a lot better
shorts and stuff.
And
nice shorts and polos.
I feel like now, forget it. The first day of school, maybe you could get them into some ripped jeans and sandals and an old T-shirt. But there is some effort being put into the first day of school, But then after that, I mean, within a week, they're back into their PJs,
Yeah, it's like
slippers, carrying around a pillow and blanket.
Yeah.
On their way to
No, 100%.
There's like, it's radically different.
Yeah.
Like, and the only reason they have to look halfway decent on day one now, as we all know, one of the worst trends that has ever happened to us
of humankind,
of all mankind, one of the worst trends that has emerged in as far as the back to school experience, it has to be the obligatory first day of school pics flooding your social media feeds.
Oh,
spare me.
Awful.
Look,
awful.
I may have mentioned this during our Facebook episode. I don't like to hop on Facebook, for example, and share anything that I don't think adds anything new or valuable to the conversation, right? You won't ever see me post a Happy 4th of July, Happy Mother's Day, Merry Christmas. Because
He is risen.
Everybody's done it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like to do that. The only exception is those damn first day of school pics. I had to do that every damn year.
I mean, everywhere. They were
Why?
everywhere.
Because, especially now, many of us co-parent. And so we've got the grandparents on social media, and you've got the co-parents' parents on social media. And if you don't post, you're going to hear about it.
You can't just text them the picture?
I wish. Now, I'm not talking about me personally. I do know someone who will remain nameless who happens to live in my home and shares a bed with me. I do know someone like that who had to deal with some fallout for forgetting to send a picture.
Okay. I'll try to think about who that would be.
But I'm
the
just
name
saying, like,
escapes me.
Like it's an obligation now that
Yeah, they're like, oh wait, I got to put it on Facebook. Like it's not even that. It's not even only the first day of school one. It's the first day of school one, and then the last day of school they have to post the before and after. Look how much they've grown since day one.
I know.
And they're holding the same signs and stuff. I'm like, get off of this app.
That's one of those trends that affected many of us. And hey, I'm proud of anyone out there.
Good on you if you like it.
Good on you if you resisted. If you were strong, like if you resisted, it's the same as like resisting the vax. I mean,
See, I'm trying to be sensitive to the people that want to do it. It's like, good on you.
No, I mean, no. It's not that I don't enjoy seeing pictures of people's kids. I love that on Facebook, but just
the feeling that you're required to do it.
You're feeling required. The whole feed. Facebook's really boring for a few days.
Oh, Facebook sucks. I've been on Facebook 3 years. It's the best decision I've ever made. Facebook sucks.
Oh, it does. But, so yeah, I didn't enjoy that trend.
Listen to us. Get off our lawns, people.
Get off
our lawns. Damn it.
We're so crotchety now.
Right.
Well, hey, I've enjoyed memorializing what summer was like and going back to school.
We haven't even talked about family vacations.
Oh, I mean, by all means, man.
I mean, we had the year we went to Daytona Beach, and I think that's when Mom and Dad got the big, thick orange drink cup with the handle on it. Remember those souvenir cups that I accidentally drank remember the kickball episode?
The kickball episode.
Yes, when I actually drank the Coke.
Or the quote unquote Coke with some special sauce
that had
in
a lot of bubbles in it. that sat, the bubbles that just sat. It's like, what is this smell? Coke doesn't smell like this. We had the year we stayed at Sawgrass in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I remember that.
Amazing. And Manny and Steven came with us that year.
We had relatives my mom's relatives.
Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach.
That's usually where we
yeah.
That's where we summered.
Where do you summer? So I remember the first time we ever flew on Delta. I think I was 7.
Yeah, we usually drove.
God, I was so jazzed up for that. But our road trips were just epic. I mean,
they were.
We've talked about the CB stuff. Dad just always made sure. I mean, Mom did too, but Dad was always kind of a jokester, and I just felt like we just laughed.
So Grandma
constantly.
and Grandpa usually following us in their car, and so we'd have a CBs and just going back and forth. The fun of going back and forth was just like you said, epic. There is no other word.
It was mostly like Florida, but there was one year we went to Charleston, South Carolina, and stayed with Uncle Benny. A few days or whatever. That's when I got introduced to the world of oatmeal cream pies.
I remember that.
Never had one, and I just couldn't stop eating them while we were there. I was like, what is this?
Obsessed.
What is this? I was like, can I have another one? And I wasn't a kid that always would just aggressively be like, can I have another one? I'd be like, I want another one of those.
You'd be like shaking.
Yeah, I was like, can I please? Can you please understand that I want another one of those without me asking?
You're like picking at your skin.
Yeah, but we would do the Tennessee trip,
Yeah, we went
a
to
couple times.
Gatlinburg and Pigeon
Gatlinburg.
Forge.
We stayed at an old motel with like the outside rooms, and right across from it was like a go-kart place. And one night we asked mom and dad, me and you were like in our swim outfits, and our hair's still wet. I'm not even wearing like a t-shirt. I'm like 6 or 7 years old. And we were like, can we go get a Big Red at the gas station? If you're around from here, you're from around here, you know what a Big Red is. It was back when they sold them in the bottles. So we get to the gas station, and this gentleman was behind the counter. I mean, you walked up there, and we go, can we have where's your all's Big Red? And he goes, what's that? And we looked at each other like we were about ready to cry.
Okay, look.
I remember that. Me and you were in the gas station.
Well, I remember this, and I think it was our first taste of that.
The world is different outside of our little bubble. I remember we looked at each other and we were like so distraught. Like you don't even no, not even that you don't sell it.
Yes.
You don't even know what it is. How do you not know what that is?
When you come from small town middle America, your bubble is quite small, especially in the era of before the internet. It was even smaller still.
Yeah.
And so that was our first like bubble bursting realization.
Oh, stuff's different outside of our 5 mile radius.
How do the people across the world not have all the things that we have and
enjoyed?
Didn't make sense.
Yeah, like we kind of like slowly walked away, like we were staring at that guy like, you're missing out.
It didn't make sense.
So yes,
I questioned everything.
Nothing says we're Gen Xers like our parents at a motel saying, hey, by yourselves,
in a strange place,
walk a quarter of a mile to this gas station and get glass bottles of Big Red.
In a tourist heavy area.
Right.
With transients going to.
Right. So
yeah, I remember that.
So fun. I love those trips. We used to like take bets on like license. You remember the license plate game?
Oh, absolutely.
So the cars would drive by, and before they drove by, we were like, okay, this one's from New Jersey. This one's from Massachusetts.
I remember that.
And we weren't smart enough to realize that until we got out of like our neighboring town, the license plates were pretty much going to be the same.
Oh my God. It's so boring. We couldn't start having fun until another state.
Right. It's like 5 or 6 hours in. Then we could have fun with the license plate game because they would be different.
Or the alphabet game.
The alphabet game. Yep.
What was that one? That really annoying one? Riddle Marie. I see something you don't see.
Oh my Lord.
And when you're driving on 65 South heading from southern Indiana to Florida, it's basically like a tree or concrete.
Right. I think we do 21 questions.
Yeah.
And then when mom and dad would get annoyed, it was the quiet game, which was never successful. Never successful. It'd always be like 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, wait a minute, I have a question.
That'd be Jen.
I'm like, Jennifer, you never have a question until we say go, ever.
Hey, folks, like, if you follow us, then last episode you were introduced to our lovely sister, Jen. She is quite the talker. And we even mentioned in that episode, like, we didn't know how it was going to work out because when the three of us are together, we're pretty chatty. And she is most chattiest.
Yeah. She would wait till we said go and then be like, I have a question.
Right. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle it. Poor girl.
Awful.
And then just being like squished in the back seat. No seat belts, of course. And we might have a blanket, a pillow, and not touching each other was quite the challenge. But if you did touch someone's knee or something,
I mean, it was
off me.
Yeah, it was an all-out battle.
You were on your way to the quiet game.
If you really pissed me off, I would make it seem like you touched me or hit me, and I'd be like, Mom, she hit me.
You were ruthless.
And Mom would like turn around and that big sled Buick.
Such a turd you were
on
those trips. Sometimes.
But then one trip, I know we gotta move on a little bit, but I know one trip we went to DC. Remember that?
I do remember that very well.
I think I was in 5th grade.
I was in 6th, yeah.
Yeah, or no, okay, so I was in 4th. We listened to Terry Neville's album the whole trip.
Aaron Neville?
I said Terry. Aaron Neville.
We rarely catch mistakes like that in the moment.
I know.
In real time.
Dang it.
But hey, now you don't lose sleep.
I mean, yeah, I think we listened to Everybody Plays a Fool like 1,300,000
right.
50 whatever times.
Aaron Neville, good times. And then Randy Travis and, of course, Hank Williams Jr.
Yes. But that was the trip that Mom and Dad always made fun that I asked when we were going to eat.
Yes.
Like every hour.
You had quite the appetite, and that was your biggest concern. And speaking of like school, when we would come home from school and they'd ask how our day was, if they ask, because I mean, parents don't ask anymore, right?
Yeah.
But if they asked, your response was, well, we had pizza.
We had spaghetti.
We had spaghetti.
We had the roll. Oh, yeah.
And then I would come home and have lunch on me somewhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I spill to this day.
Yep.
Every time I eat. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I cannot wait, Joe. Man, this back to school vibe I was feeling had me just craving some opening number Grease 2 action. So I watched it on YouTube. Maybe several times.
I did too.
Until finally I thought, well, now I just have to watch the whole thing. We're talking about Grease 2, one of the best sequels in the history of cinema.
And it may or may not get a little controversial.
I think it will. I'm excited.
I am too.
I have some feelings.
I'm a little too excited. Let's hurry up. Let's hurry our breakout.
All right. All right, we're back. Ready to go.
I'm ready.
Back to school again.
Whoa, I gotta go back to school again.
Classic.
We didn't even plan that.
I know. We're so in sync. Look, we love the movie Grease. We grew up watching it. I mean, we could quote the original Grease as much as the other one. But we watched the hell out of this movie, man. I mean, I was 4 years old when it came out in theaters. And, of course, they considered it a flop. It took 11 million, I think, to produce. And then they made 15 million at the box office, whereas Grease was like well over 100 million something. So it was 4 years after the original. And I don't remember, like, at what point we attained a copy. Must have been from Sharon's collection.
Yeah, I feel like it was part of that. That's when we first watched it.
Because we didn't buy movies, right?
No. I think it had to be Sharon.
We watched the hell out of this.
We did.
It's crazy because it's so raunchy. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, much of that just went right over our heads.
Probably 70% of it.
But except for Michelle Pfeiffer's performance, because she actually...
Hey, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right, what a smoke show. Stephanie Zanoni, it doesn't get hotter.
Wow.
Oh, man. Even I wanted to be that ladder in Cool Rider.
Oh, my Lord.
She's hot in this movie. It's
Unreal.
her first, like, big role.
Unreal.
And she actually got good reviews, which is surprising because she's not a highly trained singer.
Yeah, that was, now that you say that, that's one of the cool things about that movie. And the first one was that way too, but the actors really sang the songs.
Exactly. And so the songs, just the sound of the songs, the voices, vocally, it was just very robust.
Yeah, but Michelle Pfeiffer was the first one that I realized, like I consciously realized that she made me feel like it felt when I was climbing the rope in gym class.
She was... the epitome of cool and beautiful.
Yep.
And a little bit of a bad girl.
She was. It was quite different from the first in that respect. It was like the second one had the stronger female lead.
Yeah. Here's what I like. Because I do want to talk a little bit about which was better and why. And that's one of the reasons. So I want to circle back to that. But yeah, just why are we talking about this movie? It's because we were talking about back to school, and I was really thinking about those memories, and then I thought of this song. The opening number of Grease 2 is bang.
It's a banger.
And so I had to watch it on YouTube. Then I watched it again and again.
Geometry and biology are destroying my brain. I mean, it's awesome.
And even the dancing.
The
so
dancing
good.
was good.
That shot in front of the school where they're all dancing in sync. Mm-hmm. It's so great.
So awesome.
I get chills. So that's what made me kind of get into that. And I sent you a text and I was like, why don't we just talk about some Grease 2 for a little bit?
And I was all about it.
Yeah. Because I do think of it. It's tied in with my back to school memories because of that.
Yep.
And so the casting, well, we have Maxwell Caulfield, who had a bit of a career like beforehand. He wasn't well known, but he was really establishing himself. And as I've learned, he kind of had a little bit of a big head.
Yep.
He felt like this was going to be a vehicle for,
Yep.
stardom.
I saw that as well.
Like big time stardom.
Yep. So he was Michael Carrington.
Michael Carrington. And then we had Eve Arden coming back to be the principal, Miss McGee.
Yep.
And then we had Christopher McDonald, as most people know as...
Shooter McGavin.
You got it.
Yep. He was Goose.
He's so good.
He was good.
So good.
He was so good.
And then Adrian's Med. You know what?
I think I know what you're gonna say.
I'm just gonna say, like, I
Johnny Nagarelli.
Look, he was cool and funny and cute and
Good singer.
great singer, man. Hey, look, he went much higher than that when
He
he's
did.
sliding onto the bowling lane into the.
I know chicks dug that part.
Right toward the
chicks
camera,
dug that
and he
part.
had his shirt halfway unbuttoned. Come on.
Yep.
But I think at the time, one of the criticisms was that he didn't capture the whole Danny Zuko thing. But in reflection, that's totally not his job in that role. That's not what his role was for. And so I feel like that's really unfair because his performance in this movie is top draw.
It's amazing.
So good.
Tom Cruise actually auditioned for that role.
I didn't know that.
Of Johnny Nagarelli, but they
Right.
wanted someone older and taller. Now he's not super tall,
No.
but we all know Tom Cruise is short. So I think Zemed is like 5'8", 5'9", but he in that movie I think was like 27 or 28 when they filmed.
Wow.
Yeah, so they wanted somebody just a little bit more.
And they all, I mean, I can't believe we bought the fact that they were all in high school.
I thought he did, like you said, I thought he did amazing.
Oh,
in that.
perfection.
And then also too, we talked about Michael Carrington, the character Michael Carrington. Andy Gibb was initially going to play
I did
the
learn
male
that.
lead, but he failed his screen test.
Oh, no.
He failed his screen test.
That's terrible.
And Cher initially signed on to play Paulette Repchuk,
Right. I vaguely remember hearing
but
that.
she backed out. She complained of a low salary and not a finished script.
Right.
But I just don't think it would have been the same.
It wouldn't, when you always hear those things, you're like, oh, it could never, that would have never worked,
Right.
So credit to casting directors because they often know
Right.
what they're doing. Well, you mentioned the script, right? The script changed quite a bit as they were filming it. And so that was a turnoff for some big name actors. Thank goodness. Mm-hmm. It was also it went through some title changes, as I have discovered.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was going to be called More Grease.
Oh,
Which I'm like, why wouldn't it be greasier?
right.
Like-
It's going to be anything.
If it's going to be anything, it should be greasier. But it landed on Grease 2, and Maxwell Caulfield, who played Michael Carrington, as you said, he thought that was a little flat, and so he wanted it to be called Son of Grease, which didn't make sense either.
No, that makes
because he
zero
wasn't
sense.
the love child of Sandy and
Right.
Danny.
Right. He was Sandy's cousin.
Right. So that was another thing. But I love how the premise was flipped. So you have in Grease, you have this goody two shoes Sandra Dee, the picture of purity, and then you have bad boy Danny Zuko and the bad T-Birds. So you have this bad boy, good girl, thing going on. This time, Stephanie Zanoni is kind of the bad girl, and it's Michael who is the goody two shoes, clean cut, the thing that every girl in high school doesn't like.
Right.
Which
Wants her attention, but how do I get it?
so dumb because he's so fine.
Right. Well,
In
I'll let you judge that.
In this movie, he's fine, I believe. Very attractive. But yeah, so I like how the premise is flipped. Although oddly, he's supposed to be Sandy's cousin. He's British though, and she is Australian. so
Yeah,
that
I thought about that too.
So somehow they missed that plot problem.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. So I was going to mention one of the changes from the original musical, stage musical, is her name is Miss Lynch as the principal, but they changed it to Miss McGee. I don't know if you remember this, bro. I have actually played Miss Lynch.
I don't remember.
I have performed that role.
I don't remember. Take me back.
Not once, but twice.
I don't remember that.
On stage, yeah. So the first time was when I was teaching, and I was the English teacher. My first 3 years of teaching, I was a theater director. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of stayed involved throughout the years when I transitioned to English. And so our musical director at the time, we had a theater teacher and we had a musical director. And he was also my friend, and he asked if I would play the role of Miss Lynch. And it's often common for the actual musical for Miss Lynch to be played, because it's not a big role, but it can be a really fun and funny role. And so a lot of times for the Broadway show, they will cast like big names just for that little part. Like I saw it performed at Kentucky Center when I was in high school, and it was played by Sally Struthers.
Oh, wow.
And she was hysterical.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, yeah. So I played it for the high school performance with the kids, and then also on New Albany Riverfront Amphitheater that summer with a different cast. Like,
look at you.
I know, right?
Look at you.
So fun to play that.
Guess who else was supposed to play in that movie but didn't? You know, the character Sharon, the pink lady, the curly, dark-haired, not Rhonda, who was with Goose, but Sharon.
Yes.
Jennifer Beals was supposed to be Sharon.
Really?
Yep.
I wonder why she didn't do it.
Let me see.
Was she filming Flashdance?
Well, yes, actually.
You're kidding.
No, it says she dropped out to play the lead character in Flashdance.
Good
call.
move, Jennifer.
Good call.
Jennifer.
And she was also, we loved Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. She was Cinderella.
Rest in peace. Shelley Duvall recently passed away.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but Jennifer Beals was Cinderella in that one.
That's my favorite.
I know.
Of all the fairy tale theaters.
Mine too. That's
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick. Yeah.
Well, she made a good decision, I have to say.
She did make a good decision. Yep.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the controversial. Which is better, Grease or Grease 2?
I don't think it's going to be controversial to us.
Not to us,
but
bro.
To our listeners, it's probably going to hurt.
It may. Prepare yourself.
I think Grease 2 is better, and I don't even think it's particularly close.
I don't either. Hey, I'm going to talk about all the reasons, and you can agree, disagree, that I think it's better. And as I do that, I want you guys to keep in mind, it is not in any way to take away from Grease.
I still love the first one.
I love it. It's a classic. It always will be. I love the charisma between the chemistry between Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. I love John Travolta just in general. And I mean, that's a staple of our childhood for sure and will forever be special.
Yeah, it's quotable. We still quote it.
Yeah. But Grease 2 by far was a better movie.
I mean, from the start.
From the start.
Or in sports ball terms, from the tip.
From the tip. Especially, like I said, that opening number.
The dancing, the music, the singing was better. Because Grease 1, it was kind of just like a low, just they were walking around, just kind of talking. There wasn't much to it.
Right. Let's start with plot. There was a plot in Grease 2. There was no plot in Grease. Mm-hmm. There really wasn't a plot when you think about it. But this one had a clear plot. You have this guy who's on the outside wanting to be on the inside. And you have this good or bad girl, pink lady, who's looking for that cool rider.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing is him trying to impress her, trying to win her over, trying to sort of find his way into that circle. And to do that, he decides he's going to be that cool rider that she tells him she really wants. Mm-hmm. And so he gets a job writing essays for all the T-Birds, and they pay him, and he uses that money to
go find him a junk heap motorcycle.
To restore some wheels. Mm-hmm. And then he spends like all fall semester practicing.
Riding out in the park by himself.
Practicing, falling, saying, bloody hell, bollocks. If you listen carefully, you can hear him say those words. And so even down to the black leather pants. So he's like the Sandy. He's the one who transforms. Mm-hmm. So I really love the flip-flop of that. And that's why I said earlier, it wasn't Adrian Zmed's job at all to be another Danny Zuko just because he was like head of the T-Birds.
Right.
His job was totally different for this movie. So for the plot itself, it's a hands down no-brainer.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
you mentioned the choreography. It's way more fun, way more dynamic, lots and lots of dancing, but big dance numbers.
I think the songs are better.
The songs are better.
I think the singing's better.
The songs, first of all, are funnier. They're really catchy.
Catchy. I was going to say they're catchy.
Super catchy. You cannot help but sing along. And then I also loved about the songs how, one of the biggest, in both movies, one of the core issues is that typical teenage raging hormone tension between the boys and the girls. Mm-hmm. In Grease 2, they did a lot of separation in those musical numbers where the girls would do one part, the boys would do another, and then they'd play around with that and sort of switch roles. That was really fun. That was a common thread through every number almost. I love that about it. And I love that the costumes Oh, you mentioned the singers. I want to touch on the singers.
I thought the singing was better.
The singers were like top tier.
Yeah, I mean Maxwell Caulfield was
Okay.
so.
Let's talk about that. Stephanie Zanoni and Maxwell Caulfield were not the best. They were like the worst singers in the cast. Yet they were the leads. I thought that was a very odd choice in casting, but I think it makes sense. I think it works because their particular solos, like she got away with it better than I think he did.
I didn't think Pfeiffer was all that bad.
I didn't either, but she wasn't like a Lorna Luft, who Lorna Luft.
She's Judy Garland's daughter.
Judy Garland's daughter. I mean, she didn't even belong there.
Okay, so folks, this is Paulette.
Paulette.
This is Johnny's girl. Like eventually.
And so, I mean, and Adrian Zmed had a great voice, and then Goose had a great voice.
Well,
and
Lewis had a good one.
fantastic
Yeah,
voice.
Lewis had a good one too.
So the voices were just like Broadway.
More quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Broadway caliber, except for these two leads. But like I said, I didn't think that their solo parts were all that consequential.
They got away with it because they were both super attractive, and they were both good.
Yeah, and also
actors.
Michael didn't have like a grease lightning number. His was like behind my charade. Not very good.
Okay, you just hit a nerve. Can I go there?
Please.
Okay, I just don't want to get you off your flow. You said Grease Lightning. Okay, there's different versions of the original Grease. I think the TV version doesn't, or maybe it does.
It cut it out because we didn't know about it.
Because I was going to say the first time we ever saw it, I don't think that was ever in it. But when I watched it, because I watched them both recently. When I watched Grease Lightning, the full version of that song, and then the video of it, or however they dance and stuff, awful.
It didn't really fit.
I thought it was awful.
Yeah.
And the red car and like the flashy sequence silver stuff, that was cool looking, but I thought John Travolta's vocals in there sucked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was awful. Go back and watch it. Now, if you're really being honest about it,
yeah.
And I'm a Travolta fan, other than Scientology bullcrap, but his singing was awful.
That song didn't suit him
well. At least the first minute and a half of it, his vocals were terrible.
I was never really a huge fan of that number.
Yeah.
So I feel you there.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I think that's fair. But yeah, so their vocals didn't razzle dazzle us. Mm-hmm. But what did, I mentioned the costumes. I thought the costumes were so good in this movie, and I remember such an impression they left on me. First of all, the Girl for All Seasons, when they do that talent show.
Oh, that was cool, yeah.
I loved the flashy, the glitter. Stephanie Zanoni's dress, first of all, in front of the auditorium, the night of the... Oh, I could see you just getting all googly-eyed.
Yeah.
I'm going to fangirl out and say that sparkly little short-sleeve crop she had on over her black dress.
Black. But you know where I'm going to go. Do you know which one I'm going to go with?
I know exactly.
The black leather jacket and the purple, and then she had the purple bandana thing when she walks out there by herself with out of the cafeteria.
Yeah.
She's got the
I always
sandwich
thought
in
her
hand.
bandana looked like Miss Piggy's, but that was cute, super cute in the lunch
Go
line.
girl, go on. Hey, go on.
I just loved even the basic black sweatshirt, black pants, black boots with the pink lady jacket, iconic.
Yeah.
But nothing beats.
She wants a COOLRIDER. Hey, she wants a C. She says that like 4 times.
A cool writer.
Yeah, she was.
I wanted to be her. I wanted to chew gum like her. I wanted to speak like her. I imitated her relentlessly. But her best costume by far was at the luau. When she takes off.
Oh, is that what you thought I was going to say?
I thought you were going to go there.
I was feeling the black leather jacket with the purple.
That's a good one, but I don't think anything beats that silver dress slit all the way up to the crotch.
Yeah, and even the luau was cooler and better.
Like
the cooler ending.
Right, because the first one they're at a fair, and which yay, but the luau, the summer is calling. I'm
gonna watch it later. I'm gonna watch it later.
I'm gonna watch it for the third time today.
Yeah, I've convinced myself.
Just the scenery of the luau was fun and colorful and bold, and the music was really fun. But when she takes off because she won the talent show with Johnny, and so they're on this floating, pool of enchantment,
right,
which is fun. And so she takes it off, and you see this amazing silver, tight, bunched up around the middle, very flattering. And then her hair's kind of pulled to the side with these pretty purple flowers. Unreal. Mm-hmm. Stephanie Zanoni at her best. Yes. I want that dress today. I would wear it today. Yeah, love that. So the songs were better. tunes were catchier. The lyrics were funnier. The singing was better.
Reproduction. I mean, that scene in itself, I was
Baby, give it to me.
yeah.
Now,
Where does the ballin' go?
I was 4 years old when it came out, but by the time I was 8 or 9, I was watching this daily. I could quote every word. I could sing every song. And Reproduction is so racy.
It really is.
But when you watch it now, it's even funnier because so much that went over your head when you were younger is like, man, you have a new appreciation for it.
And then
so good.
And then the older woman teacher,
Connie Stevens.
Oh yeah, she was really cute. And she was probably in her mid to late 40s at the time.
If that.
Yeah. When the twins, they were like talking about her hair, and she goes, all 300 pounds of it. You know those twins, who their sister is? Think Married with Children. Katie.
Seagal?
Yeah.
Get out.
That's their sister.
Oh, speaking of Seagal, her maiden name, Paulette's little sister. Paula.
Adlon.
Adlon. God, I love her.
You know who she was the voice of?
Who?
Bobby Hill from King of the Hill.
Oh, really?
The chunky boy.
I know she's done a lot of voiceover
She was
work.
Bobby Hill.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she was only like 16 in that movie.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, at the end, the little T-Bird guy, Leaf Green is his real name. They kiss at the end, and he was 23.
Oh, really?
If you think about that, it's kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, because most of the T-Birds were older. Like literally, Michelle Pfeiffer and I think Maxwell Caulfield were like 23, and Zemed and everybody else left. They were all like 28.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And Shooter McGavin, what's his real name? You know his real name better.
Christopher McDonald.
Yeah. He was like 28 or so.
I mean, I get it now. Back then, they seemed like teenagers because teenagers looked so old to us.
Yeah, they got away with it.
But one of the things that I love too about one of the changes that I love is the fact that they characterize the T-Birds way differently. Okay, so they're not very nice, and they're kind of weasels, little punks in the first one. You know, you like the characters and everything, but this one I love how they're way goofier. A lot of the really perfect comedic timing moments happen with one of the T-Birds because they each had such funny personalities. They were not smart. Their mispronunciations of words, like mental stration. I mean, come on.
They almost seem like they got along better than the first movie's T-Birds. Like, the first movie's T-Birds they like hung out, but they like dogged each other a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like they were shitty to each other.
There was a warmth, and there was a real friendship.
Yeah, it was more of like a let me pat you on the chest and make fun of something kind of, It was,
yeah, so there's really a friendship there. That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's different, and just like. What did Johnny say? He said things like, "I want you to come over for Paschetti at your convenience."
Yeah.
Or when they called him albumins. I want those Roy Orbisons, or however he said it. I really enjoyed that characterization as opposed to the first one. The T-Birds were so much more entertaining, and I think the movie overall was just entertaining. Yeah. Scene by scene.
Yeah, the bowling alley scene was like next level.
Next level.
And something else too that we've not even talked about. Why I think it's cooler than the first one, the motorcycles.
Hey,
there was like no motorcycles in the first one, and like the second one was all about motorcycles. I mean, that in itself is cooler.
I know. Well, Cool Rider is the theme of that love story between the two of them. Is that she's looking for a bad boy who's hell on wheels. I know,
but I'm just saying, like in general, like even the Scorpions in the first one, because the Scorpions make a return. The head guy,
right? Very few. Holdovers.
Right. You had Eugene and you had a couple others, but anyway, the Scorpions in the first one was all about the cars and the car racing and stuff. But the second one, the Scorpions show up at the bowling alley and they all had their motorcycles.
Vroom,
it was just more hardcore.
Badass.
Yeah, bad boy stuff.
And hey, bad boy stuff, jumping over the cop car.
Yeah. He's like Some Other Time.
Hey, I love the tension created. And who's that guy?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Ooh.
But he does. He gets the Zippo out. Oh. And he's like,
and he lights her cigarette.
Yeah, he's like, want to ride? He's like, Some Other Time. But the timing, he like clicks it. I mean,
he's so cool.
And of course, they can't tell who he is
because he has
goggles and a helmet on.
It's like Superman with
everything
his
else looks the exact same. But who is that guy?
But hey, he changed his accent, so he had an American accent as this mystery Cool Rider.
Yep.
But that's another musical number that I really love. It gave it you've got to have some more conflict. There's the tension between the romantics, the romantic leads, and then you've got this other larger tension that affects everybody, where you've got this rival gang and you've got the T-Birds, but then this mystery guy shows up. And so I love how they set that scene up in that musical number. It's, ooh, who is this? Mystery, intrigue, danger.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very Rebel Without a Cause.
Everyone around you thinks that you're a star. Who's that guy? Oh. And then he splits the scorpions, like he does the Willy, and then he splits the scorpions.
Badass.
Oh my Lord.
Badass, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Stephanie Zanoni like climbs on front. It doesn't look like a stunt person. I couldn't find anything on that.
Oh, you're talking about when she wrote, like when she straddled him on the front of it?
Yeah.
No, I read that. She did that, but the motorcycle rider was a stunt.
No, I figured that. I figured he was a professional.
The stunt person said Michelle Pfeiffer was great in that.
She had to be.
Yes,
it looked
but he
effortless.
said it was her.
It looked effortless.
Yeah.
So good on her for doing that.
He said it was her.
Because that's dangerous. That's some dangerous stuff.
Right. I want her to do that to me on a motorcycle.
Get in line, bro.
Yeah, I think I cried when her and Michael Carrington got together at the Lou. I was like, but that means I don't have a chance. Hey, that means I can never get with Stephanie Zanoni. I mean, I was 5.
Let me talk something else about Stephanie Zanoni that really made an impression on me. So when it came to Halloween costumes, I was pretty extra. I made Mom go through some stuff. Like, she made me this custom Dorothy dress one year.
I remember.
She made her own ruby slippers out of my...
I was Pee Wee Herman one year, and I looked just like Pee Wee Herman. Yeah. So she went all out.
Okay, and so our elementary school did an annual Halloween costume contest, and it was held in the evening, and parents would come. It was a big deal.
I was Pee Wee Herman. I won.
Yeah, you did. And I think I won a couple of years, and then if I didn't win, I placed. Because she was the Christmas tree in Girl for All Seasons, I had to be a Christmas tree. And let me tell you. Now, I wasn't the cool Stephanie Zanoni with the hoop, and the white and all that. The star on my head didn't light up. I didn't have the technical capabilities. But I told Mom I wanted to be a Christmas tree, and by God, that woman made it happen.
Of course.
So I was wearing a green turtleneck and green sweatpants. I had a headband with a Christmas star on my head. I had green felt shaped, where my arms went through. And so I wore it like a dress. And she just put real ornaments on me, all around me. So I couldn't sit down. If I sat down, I'd break an ornament. And I remember at the costume contest, one of my friends patted the ornament and it fell and broke. I was devastated. I was like, bitch, I'm trying to win.
Right. We're winners.
Yeah. We don't fail here.
Right.
And I had tinsel wrapped around me.
I think I remember that.
And my shoes, and Mom thought I was so brilliant because I was like, my shoes have to be empty shoe boxes wrapped like presents.
I do remember that.
So that was like presents under the tree.
Yeah, I remember that.
We must have stuffed them with something so I could walk.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I won that
That's
year.
Great. Good for you, Mary Beth.
Good, man, thanks. Hey, Stephanie Zanoni did that to me.
And you know what's even crazier? On the Girl for All Seasons part, if you catch it, it's sort of like at the beginning of it, and I think it might be when Paulette's singing. But there's a line in the song that talks about making love.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
It's a high school show, and
speaking of watching it as an adult, we watched it at such a young age that the even innocent. I
would have never caught that.
Even innocent references, cultural or like expressions, I didn't get. One sticks out in particular. It was things like this. So when Stephanie Zanoni grabs her book from his hand after rehearsal and she's about to sing Cool Rider, she turns around, she goes, "Look, when are you going to get the picture?" And I was like, what does that mean? I thought when I was little, I really thought that there was some scene that was left out because that didn't make sense. Like, what picture?
Oh, you didn't get that right? You didn't get that? Okay.
I was like, what picture? Where? I never understood that, and I always convinced myself. I was convinced.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
That there was a scene skipped, man, an editing problem or something. So even expressions like that. So when you watch it as an adult, it's not just that you get all the sexual innuendos and things like that, but you get so much more.
Simple things like that.
Simple humor. Like Beethoven. When I was little, I didn't understand why that was funny. When Lewis goes, Beethoven. I was like, just shit like that.
That's so
funny. And so there's so much more you can appreciate as an adult if you watch it. That makes it almost even more enjoyable. The only exception, like overall, has to be it's the fog and the motorcycles and he's in heaven. Stephanie, don't forget me. I promise. Like, I can't let that one go.
Just when I found you, I lost you. He ain't down there. Hey, remember when he makes that jump? He goes, he ain't down there.
Right.
He ain't down there.
I figured he would have slowed down, right?
Yeah, they put like him on top of like a pile of old motorcycles, and they just like spray painted it all white.
Yeah. And so it looks like he's this angel cool rider in heaven.
I mean, dude literally just started riding a motorcycle like a month before. And he's apparently like the best motorcycle rider of all time.
Of all time. Hey, he practiced. Did you not?
Okay.
Did you not see him spend all fall semester practicing?
Okay.
And she's dressed like a Grecian goddess. Of course, she looks amazing. She's beautiful, but it's just it's too corny for corny.
Yeah.
And so that's the only unforgivable part.
Unforgivable. Yeah, that was the most hokey by far.
Most hokey.
Yeah.
But other than that, I got to say, and then to top it off, the moment at the luau when he arrives and all the Scorpion gang members have just wrecked the luau and the twins are really mad.
Right.
He ruins everything.
Right.
And then suddenly there's Michael and he's standing up on top of the tiki torch hut, the tiki hut. And he's dressed all in black leather, just like Sandra D. And he's got the goggles on. Hey, Balmudo. And then you hear this like ninja music out of nowhere, like, as he does this epic 4 feet fall from the 4 feet jump.
Right. Did he even practice that? Like, how do you just become a superhero overnight?
But that was a cool jump, man.
I know it was, but I'm like, Michael Carrington getting off that bus at the beginning was not making that jump 2 months ago. He was not making that jump.
Hey, I buy it. I stand by my choice.
I bought it.
I bought it. But it's so cool. And then he takes the goggles off after he, of course, jumps over the pool.
Right.
And all the Scorpion gangs just...
And they've been riding since they were like 10.
Hey, they couldn't.
But they couldn't make the jump.
They couldn't hang.
But Michael Carrington could.
Michael Carrington
just started riding.
Oh my God. So he takes off the goggles. It's Michael. It's Michael. And everyone's making this realization. It's a great moment. First of all, a very hot kiss is shared between them. I may have rewound that over and over when I was younger because it's a very great kiss before they sing that song. But I love when Johnny comes up.
He accepts him.
He accepts him, man.
It's a cool moment.
It's a really cool moment. And it's a funny moment, too, because everyone's like, he's going around the circle and everybody's like, come on, Johnny, he's got a point. And he's got a point. But he gives him a T-Bird jacket. He's like, for starters, let's see how it looks. And he puts it on. It really is a warm moment. But I got to say, something doesn't quite track because earlier, if you're paying attention, Sharon specifically said, we are T-Bird property, at least till grad. So it's graduation. Like, the contract is rendered null and void. It's not even legally binding anymore. So it's only a half-ass attempt at an olive branch.
Right.
Like, the contract doesn't even...
All right. You can be it for 30 seconds, but give it back, we're done.
Welcome to the T-Birds. All right. See you later. That's the only thing that doesn't track. But it doesn't take away from the moment, nonetheless.
It doesn't. That's a great ending.
Great ending. I love the graduation and then the yearbook.
Right. Yeah.
That's a great way to end it. And it's so much better than flying up in your grease lightning car up into the sky.
Oh, God. I forgot even all about that.
That one just didn't.
Oh, God. What is this, like the Heavenly Kid?
I do. Right.
Like, what the hell?
I do know that they originally thought about having Michael and Stephanie fly off into the sky on this motorcycle together.
I'm so glad. Yeah.
Hey, thank the gods.
Right.
Thank the gods.
Thank all the gods
that they didn't do that. Because the graduation was a perfect way to end it.
Yeah.
And again, we'll be together, warm fuzzy, friends forever, ending a chapter, starting a new one. It doesn't get better than that.
No, I told you I'm gonna watch it again later today.
Hey, this was fun.
This was really fun. This is a good one.
Now, at least we can just think about it and reflect upon it and enjoy those memories and all you suckers have to go
back to school. I'm going to make fun of my basketball players the next time I see them.
I can't wait. And when the bus rides by the subdivision, I'm going to be in my house robe with my coffee.
Yeah, just do the parade wave. Just do the parade wave. See ya, sucker.
Well, thank you so much for listening to another piece of the Gen X experience worth saving. What it was like for us to head back to school after those long summer breaks is now immortalized in the annals of history. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the Best of Gen X wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Joe, always a pleasure.
Duh.